Greetings, Internet surfers. I am the Amazing Fleck, and I'd like to welcome you to another exciting addition to In Fleck's House on the Paisley Couch. I'm the Amazing Fleck, jack of all trades, man of many talents, master of nothing, owner of too many titles, and upcoming Internet personality. Today I'd like to talk about the top 5 things that I got out of 2020. As we all know, 2020 was what it was. It was exactly what it was. It was a rough year for many folks, and there's nothing quite like living in tough times that can make or break you. And for me, I tried to turn the situation, the negative, into a positive situation on a personal level. And I'd like to share with you the top 5 things that I managed to get out of this past year. The first thing was more of an emphasis and a appreciation for my health and for my well-being, my physical and mental health. Um, Proper nutrition, staying hydrated, getting exercise however you can, whenever you can, and getting enough vitamin C, get enough vitamin D, get sunlight whenever you can, wear your mask and all of that whenever you go out, and an increased awareness of the microorganisms that are all around us too. I'm sure all of us have managed to become a little bit more concerned about that kind of stuff. So that's probably the most paramount thing I got out of this past year. There's nothing, you can't put a price on your health. Your health is number one, easy. And nothing like a global catastrophe to really make that set more so in your brain. The other thing I really got out of this year, taking a look at once again everything in a positive light that we all went through, as bad as it was for many of us, was how to live frugally better. Now, I was never rich, I never had a lot of money, but whenever I did, I never was really good at saving it. I would spend it on sometimes really stupid things. Sometimes I would buy a round of drinks for everyone back when I was an habitual drinker, and treat people out to restaurants on a regular basis, go out to eat a lot. And I love to tip because as an entertainer, I would survive sometimes, but the better part of the winter and the year, living off of my tip income that I would get working at various festivals and events, and sometimes when I would go out street performing and busking, and you would just kind of stack that away and use it for when you needed it. So I suppose I was already decent enough at a certain level at budgeting my money, but not like this year has taught me. And I know that for a lot of people who were end up being out of work, they either received a significant decrease in their income, or some people got a significant increase after getting the unemployment assistance that was very popular and all that. Now, for me, I was lucky enough to have a job that I could get full-time status at after losing all my contracts, all my entertainment contracts. And as a result of working that job, and not knowing what the future was going to bring, I just tried the best I could to just save and save and save. And I didn't have any drinks at all, no alcohol in 2019. I quit drinking December 27th or 28th of 2018. And I didn't have any alcohol in all of 2019 and in most of 2020. I had a couple beverages this year, but I'm not making a habit out of it, and I don't plan on making a habit out of that ever again. It's no good for you. Don't drink. Uh, so yeah, quitting drinking was a huge part of living frugally, and that was helping to really get me primed for getting prepared for the catastrophe and the uh, the exploited, deleted show that was 2020. Cooking at home and no dining out. I didn't have much of a choice about going out to eat anymore. As much as I'd love to go out to eat and tip folks generously as much as I could for going out, but after everything got canceled, you kind of have to you know adapt. So that was a little thing in disguise that was nice. And establishing an emergency fund was probably one of the best things that goes in line with the first thing was mental health, was having a sense of security. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that is. I think there's some truth to that. If you take a look at that model, I mean, having your base needs taken care of and a security net, something that you know that everything's going to be okay at least for a couple of months, if just there's no more money coming in, and you can still get supplies and stuff to get by one way or the other. A savings, an actual savings. I've always managed to have a little bit of a savings, but to watch it grow and watch it keep growing and to not take out of it. It's a savings that you don't touch. You leave it alone. And to finally have the self-discipline to do that is a privilege. And I know a lot of people struggle with being able to save or even get by at all. Now, I'm in a very unique situation. I'm a 37-year-old single dude with a cat, and I can afford to go to work and not have to worry about paying for childcare or things like that. So I have a unique situation. I understand that I'm lucky and privileged in that regard. So we have the emergency fund and the savings, and then I also, the past couple years I started investing, but this year I managed to really take more advantage of the whole investing situation. I don't want to get into details on what I invest in or how I manage to invest, but I invested in the market overall, I guess the stock market, and I took advantage of the market dropping in March, and it managed to treat me pretty well. Now, what I mean by it treated me pretty well, I don't mean that I made a bunch of money and I'm out blowing it now. If anything, I spent a significantly lot less money this past year, and it just goes into a savings now. So the art of saving and living frugally relies on you not spending and living poor, pretty much. And it really helps you to appreciate what you have and to find ways to entertain yourself. So there's this preconceived notion that to have fun in life you have to spend your money, or at least that's, I think, how our society kind of like conditions us to be consumers, be good consumers and spend and do all of that. But you can have a perfectly good wholesome time hanging out with your cat. So that's something you can do too. Find pleasure and comfort and happiness in things that don't have to cost you a bunch of money. You don't have to spend money to have a good time and have a good life. And you'd be surprised how much more satisfaction you can get if you manage to put something aside for the future. If you can manage to do that, I know that I'm lucky in that regard, and a lot of us struggle with that. Yeah, not taking things for granted. That's probably the third thing that this year is just things in general, not take them for granted. It's easy to think that we have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness and all that. Yes and no, to a certain degree. We are at the mercy of nature. We're at the mercy of whatever you want to call existence. If you believe in God, if you subscribe to that sort of thing, and or whatever faith you walk in, and like our time here is limited. Life is precious. Our time is precious. We only get so much of that, and it's important not to take that for granted. Um, Abilities, taking your abilities for granted. I juggle. I walk tight ropes. I juggle fire. I manipulate fire. I can do things that a lot of other people can't do or are unable to do or haven't learned how to do yet. And it's easy for me to forget that I can do these things, and I have abilities that and talents that I ought to use and exercise. And this past year, it's like a lot of that was I wasn't able to utilize it. So this whole exchange right here is a way for me to be able to do that. And human interaction, I mean, taking that for granted, I mean, it was amazing. No one saw this coming the way that it did. Um, and just privileges in general. I mean, things can just be taken away or can be lost. It's amazing how fragile life is and how just circumstances in general. I mean, so yeah, not taking things for granted is a strong number three. Um, a big number four for me, the fourth thing that I really got out of 2020 was going back to college. Now, I managed to go to college and I'm kind of a slow learner. My learning curve is kind of like this. It goes like this, and then it shoots up once I actually understand what it is that I'm learning. And a while ago, it managed to get my associate's degree. Ooh, look at that, summa cum laude, 3.76 GPA. I'm smart. Yeah, it was a really good thing. It gave me a sense of accomplishment to go to college. There's a whole story about that that I'll share at another time. But um, this was my degree I earned in 2010. That was 10 years ago if you do the math. And nothing like having your livelihood swept out from underneath your feet, um, and what you love doing taken away from you. That really makes you reevaluate, what am I going to do with like, I have to diversify my means of income and how I can get by and live in life. And I managed to get by on next to nothing for most of my life. And I wanted to find something that I think would suit me well, something that would give me a good level of satisfaction, something I can do for a living that would help me. Like, I'm more concerned about being able to sleep with my, like with my being who I am at night. I want to be able to sleep easy, knowing that what I did that day had a difference and an impact, and that I did something worthwhile. And typically, what that is making people smile, making people laugh, and and entertaining people. And that's what makes me feel good, and it makes me feel good knowing I made other people feel good, and that was taken away. Um, Now, I've been working this past year for I'll say a client of mine, a lady with disabilities, and that is another reason that I've really gotten a lot out of this past year of not taking my abilities for granted. Um, Privileges, like I said before in the last, in the number three of not taking things for granted. Never take for granted that you can get up and go to the bathroom whenever you want without assistance, without someone helping you. Never take for granted that you can turn on a stove to make some tea for yourself, for instance, or cook food for yourself, or drive yourself around, or or just do things unassisted, or that you can do anything. Like, always remember that that can be taken away, as everything else. Our life can just go. Um, Anyways, getting back to four, moving around here, with the college education, and to go full circle with not taking my abilities for granted, and working with my friend with disabilities, is I decided to go back to college. And I went back to college after doing lots of research in different fields, and I stumbled on something called occupational therapy. And the more I learned about occupational therapy, the more excited I got for it, because it falls perfectly in line with what I want to do in life, and what I'd like to accomplish, and what I've already been doing working with people with disabilities for the past couple of years. Occupational therapist assistant program specifically is what I'm going for at a community college, and I've managed to satisfy my prerequisites. I went to the winter semester in 2020, and I just finished December 15th, and I took a full load. I took 14 credit hours, which is a lot for me after not going to college for 10 years and going back. And homeboy here got a 4.0, so that was amazing. I had to work really hard for that, and I have to thank very supportive friends and family, as well as my client that I work for, who was kind enough to let me study while over taking care of them at their house whenever I had a little bit of downtime every once in a while. So that was fantastic. So yeah, now I have all my prerequisites in order for applying for the occupational therapist assistant program, which I will be doing. Now, this doesn't mean that I plan on quitting entertainment or anything like that. I still plan. Hey, Lucy. I still intend on doing what I love doing, and I still want to explore this whole internet interaction with the world, and kind of like putting my mark out there, and establishing a presence on the internet. Something I've been fascinated about for a while, but also intimidated by. Being a perfectionist, and also being a procrastinator, and also being well self-conscious, believe it or not. I'm a pretty shy person. for most of my life, and I've been trying to confront that, get over that by performance art. Before every show, I still get very, very nervous and self-conscious, and typically I get out there on stage and then I remember like, wait, I got this. I've been practicing this for 20 years or 15 or 3 weeks or whatever it might be, depending on what kind of show I'm doing. And if I have prepared material, I have a certain amount of confidence for that, and it makes things a lot easier. Um, on that note, yeah, see, I'll show you my little cheat sheet here. I have a little notes of what I wanted to talk about for here. So it makes it a lot easier for me to talk to this camera and to the internet, having some sort of order to follow. Hi, everyone, I'm new to this. So that's that. Um, the biggest thing, though, I did get out of college um, back in 2010 and this past round was the importance of time management. That's easily the biggest thing. Next to being a successful, um, what is it, sociopath, trying to figure out how to appease each one of your teachers. I noticed that every single professor I've ever had has had different levels of expectations and a different grading system, or just different quirks that you have to adhere to in order to earn your A in their class. Um, and you have to learn how to manage your time in the right way in order to be able to balance work, education, um, personal maintenance, as well as just everyday tasks you have to do, like around the house and all that. So nothing quite like getting a college degree that impresses an employer too, right? I think what really does it is if I paid money to go to an institution where they told me what to do, remember I'm paying them to have them tell me what to do. And if I do a good enough job, you know what that tells an employer? That tells an employer that I was able to go into a situation and pay them money to have them tell me what to do, and I did a good job. Imagine how good of a job I'll do if you pay me, right? I'll probably do a pretty good job if you pay me, and I will. I'll do the best job I can for you if you pay me. So that's something that definitely got out of college was time management. Um, was easily the biggest thing, and as well as learning how to appease the needs and the demands of various superiors, whether it's a teacher, an employer, or a contract that you're working with who's hiring you for a job. And that's probably the biggest things there. Time management, yeah, realistic, setting manageable goals for myself too, and slowly increasing the difficulty. You don't want to start by setting overly ambitious goals for yourself only to feel failure and that you're not good enough, that you didn't accomplish those goals. And setting the smallest goals, like it could be as easy as getting out of bed before a certain time if you're starting, the bar pretty low. And for me, like sometimes the hardest thing to do is to get out of bed in the morning when you're feeling down or when there's nothing to do that day. If there's no like job or homework to do that day, and it's your day off. I love sleeping in. My cat loves sleeping in, and it's hard to get out of bed when you have a nice warm snuggly purring cat next to your head. And yeah, anyways, I'm blathering, aren't I? So the fifth thing, the fifth thing that I got, the biggest thing, um, well, no, the biggest thing was the health, but the final thing is just to enjoy the little things in life. I mean, we can't take things for granted. Our health and our life and everything's temporary. And there's a lot of unanswered questions. And enjoy what you have. I mean, this is it. This is your life. And it's slowly ticking away 1 second at a time. So enjoying the little things. Hey Lucy, welcome back. I love this cat. Yeah, enjoying the little things like whether you play games or whether you like to take in some TV shows or uh, enjoy your food. Don't just scarf it down. I'm guilty of that. I gotta take my own advice. I gotta take my own advice, but really enjoy your food. Like cook your food and enjoy the food. Enjoy the conversations and the time you get with other people. Like make that a priority too. Put down the cell phone. make some time for the people you're talking to. Um, Call them up, send them a message, write them a letter in the mail, put a stamp on it, do the old-fashioned thing, if you have to. Appreciate the music, creativity, appreciate snuggling your cat if you have a cat. I don't know. I guess that's the biggest 5 things I got out of 2020. Physical health, living frugally, not taking things in general for granted, putting more of an appreciation on your education, whether it's college or just reading more books, and enjoying the little things in life. And that's what I have for you tonight here. So it's a longer video than I planned. It's 20 minutes, and I intend on making more videos. I didn't want to say that I'm going to make a video every single day. I'm going to try to. It just updates about what's going on and what I'm thinking about that day. We'll see if I actually manage to do that. I mean, it's overly ambitious. Everyone's like, "Hey, it's the new year. I'm going to go to the gym every single day, or I'm going to do all these things every single day." And I'm going to try to do like this video blog style interaction of maybe in Flex house on a Paisley couch, or if I'm working, I work 16-hour shifts sometimes. And if I'm doing that, then I might have to adapt to that situation. So it won't be in Flex house on a Paisley couch. It'll likely be somewhere else, on something else. We'll find out what that is tomorrow when I go back to work. So everyone stay safe. Don't take things for granted. Don't take unsolicited advice. And see you next time.